Nearly a decade ago, my brother Greg and I asked Jeff, our friend and former Wyoming resident, to begin purchasing points for a future Wyoming elk hunt. Our goal was to hunt a draw-only unit in the next few years near where Jeff lived, worked, and hunted. The unit we were looking at took only a handful of points to draw. 9 years later, we were still a few points short. We decided on an adjacent unit. Our schedules dictated a November hunt, and we began to plan. Well, it is opening day for us. We are in a cabin in Wyoming. It's the 6th of November. This is the cabin we're staying in. Watching election coverage. Getting ready to go this morning. See what we can find. We got to explore the road system. Well, we're out for a drive this morning. First day. We don't know the unit. Jeff's been here before, but it's been quite a while for him. And we're just kind of exploring. We are at a lodge right now up at a mountain lake. There's a big trailhead that goes up into the wilderness at this location. And I stopped here in a lot, check out the park, or check out the lake here. And there's, I don't know, 6-8 inches of snow. It's a pretty big lake. Pretty cool looking out here. Well, it is 12 noon, and we're still truck hunting, basically. Exploring the road system, trying to cut tracks. I think we cut one track. It was pretty old, so we did not pursue it. Full of snow. It is starting to snow again. Ran into an old timer. Said he's been driving the roads for 2 days up here and hasn't cut a track. And things are up higher. We're stopping for a lunch break. It's about, I don't know, 2:30, 2 o'clock, somewhere in there. The clouds have lifted and you can see a lot further now. We did a bunch of driving in the unit. We've been driving about 6 or 7 hours just exploring the road system. We got turned around a couple times because the snow is so deep, up above 9,000 feet. I think we're right around that mark right now. But this is the best look we've had at most of the public on our unit. Well, we cut a set of tracks. Coming down, we saw them glassing from the top. We weren't sure what they were. They were elk tracks, and they were going up and over onto private. And we kind of scouted out the road, and we dumped off Jeff at the far end. He's going to walk the private fence line and see if they crossed. We dropped Greg off right at the tracks, and then I came down here to a far glassing point to see if anybody, or if anything's going to pop out. I'll see Jeff when he comes down the fence line, and I'll just go pick everybody up. Well, it is 9:45. We're back at the cabin here. It got so cold that basically all my electronics died, sitting there waiting for elk to show up. Jeff followed those tracks. They went across the fence into private, and he turned off the road and came back down. I don't know, we were sitting there for maybe a half hour, and I went and picked everybody up, and we raced the sunset back here to the cabin. We pretty much left at sunset, and I think my Kestrel said it was 20 when I sat down. When we left the forest, it was 8 degrees out. I looked at a weather station online, and it said it was 0 about an hour ago. So it's going to be a cold night up there. It's about 20 degrees warmer down here. We're 4 to 5,000 feet lower. So we'll see what tomorrow holds. It's not supposed to be as cold, although it's really cold overnight tonight. So see what we can get into. We're hoping to get into the forest a little earlier. Well, second morning. Just getting loaded up in the truck. Getting ready to head out. See what we can get into. See if we can find some elk today. Well, we're up here to our glassing spot. We've been glassing for about 15 minutes. And we saw nothing. Can't see a thing. Crossed a few tracks on the way up here in private. A couple sets in. One bit of public. We thought about dumping out after it. And then we immediately saw a cow to calf moose right off the road. So we could be mistaken all our elk tracks for moose tracks. Hard to say. We weren't up here at first light. took us longer to get up here than we thought we did. We came a different route. It took us about equal amount of time. Well, second morning, we decided to get adventurous. Now we require chains to get out. Well, out of the spot we were stuck in, and hopefully a little further in. These new trucks are not made for chains. Alright, so we aborted the trip up the chained up road. It was just getting too sketchy. I dumped those two off, they hiked up, and they're gonna hike down this ridge. Park the truck right back there. I'm gonna go in some timber here in this bowl or drainage or two here and just walk around and see if I can find any tracks, any sign, anything. Awesome view from up here. I've gone about, well, I don't actually know, maybe a mile. I dove down off, I started side hilling, but I dove down pretty much right above the road. Used the road across the stream, went back up another ridge. I've probably gained 400 or 500 feet. Still not a track. Just slow going. Slippery snow and it's steep, so I'm walking up the ridge. Just had our second check-in time with Greg and Jeff. They're still back up in here somewhere. They said they're kind of half lost. Like, we're about as far as we can go before we hit wilderness. And they have found some tracks that may be a day old or maybe earlier today, but they went up into the wilderness. So I'm going to continue on kind of their direction. They're going to come kind of my direction. I don't think we're on the same ridge. Trying to get a hold of each other here. I'm up at 9,500 feet looking into the wilderness. Those guys are back here somewhere. I don't know where. They said they had to cross one more ridge to get to the truck. I mean, I've been going for 2+ hours, so if they're back, they said they were back about as far as they could go. And I'm only half that far, so. Alright, these guys are down here on this ridge in front of me, walking about down there. And I'm gonna bail off of here and go down. They're walking to the truck. So, I guess my lunch break is over. Didn't last very long. Found the right species. Now I just need one that's a little more alive. Coyotes found it too. Picked pretty clean, so it's hard to say how long it's been here. So a lot of tracks over here. Oh, there's another one. Didn't see that one. Looks like there's a third one. Or maybe they just drug parts around. Well, I'm gonna go investigate. This one was a cow. Well, third morning. I think it's the 8th, Friday. Trying to figure out what we're gonna do today. Eating some breakfast, enjoying the cabin. Just getting ready. Hopefully it's gonna be a good day. Maybe we'll actually see an elk today. That'd be like heart lifting. Friday morning, 8:15. Exploring a new road today. Getting up a little higher. Can see kind of where I was at yesterday. Well, we took a little jaunt from the truck. Up here on a knob. Looking around, trying to find anything. We saw some tracks we might investigate and try to set up a little push, more or less. While we're doing a little push here, we got some tracks. We're not sure what they are. Greg's down. Gonna see what they are. I think they might maybe be in this little pocket of timber, but from my view, I'm set up here about 300 yards away. Jeff's on the next knob. Looking at him from here, I don't think they're in that timber, and I'm not even sure they're elk tracks, but he's going down to see what they are, and we figured, well, in case there's one, we better be ready. So if they are elk tracks, then he's gonna push them on down and see where they come out. Well, Greg got on the track, gave us the hand signal that it was an elk track, or he thought it was. At least it wasn't a human track or a deer track. Could be a moose, with our luck. And he gave us the downhill signal, so we, Jeff and I went back to the truck, moved on down the drainage, and Greg is gonna walk it out. Well, that little exercise in futility is over. The radio problems might be Greg's. I don't know. He fell in a creek crossing it. He set his gun and his binoculars. Luckily, broke his fall. He did get on the critter, and it was a cow and a calf moose. So
Apparently there are a lot of moose in here, and there are not many elk. So we gotta go get Jeff. He's down at the bottom, and make a new plan. Well, back at the cabin. Greg's making dinner for himself, just leftovers. Watching high school playoff football game from our alma mater. Jeff ran to town to get gas and groceries, and wasn't a very eventful afternoon. We drove the road out some more, explored some other turnoffs that were too rough for our truck, and trying to make a plan for later in the trip. We got some intel from Jeff's friends, different places to explore, but for us it's probably going to be a walk-in show because it's just rough terrain. You really need a side-by-side in these units. Kind of been learning this over the last few years hunting in Wyoming. Roads are just rough here. That's all there's to it. So, gonna enjoy the evening and get back at it in the morning. Well, it's Friday morning. I don't know, it's probably 8:30 or 9, probably 9 o'clock by now. Drove to the south side of the unit here, to see some new country. We're on a road that I didn't think my F-150 would tackle. Yeah, it's a stock truck, so we're up here. Just exploring some new territory. We're informed by people with, like 20 years ago knowledge where they used to elk hunt. Just gonna explore the road system. Only gonna hunt half a day. Jeff wants to meet up with some friends from the area where he used to work out here, and just checking the place out today, trying to get a good lay of the land. Well, just crossed over the 2-track. A little bit of pucker factor involved. Had a couple sketchy places, as we were instructed. They were, and we made it over. Right where we turned around the first day, went back out to this lake, seeing the sights. We had crossed maybe 5 elk tracks on the way up, and they were all way on the other end. We're just back out on the big knob, heading back to the cabin. Gonna make a plan for tomorrow, do some big hikes. Still haven't seen an elk. Saw a lot of tracks that weren't there 2 days ago on a section we drove today, but we drove from way down south. We've been on the road all day, still exploring the unit. Well, it's 8:30 Sunday morning. I dropped Greg off about 3 miles up the road. I dropped Jeff off between here and there. The truck parked about 300 yards back, and I am at the head of a giant canyon. Getting out to explore today. This canyon's huge. This is just the head of it. I mean, it's miles and miles long and thousands of feet deep. It's good open country. See some mule deer down there and some aspens. Got good vantage points. Probably more open on this side, but I'm mostly going to work on the backside of this butte I'm on. Pretty good sized knob, full of timber. And then another branch of this massive canyon is back there. I don't know, it might be a different canyon. I kind of forget. I have to look at a map. But also a thousands of feet deep canyon. So, all right, day 5. Going up this butte. It's nasty in here. Got some old tracks. Found some droppings. Gave them a good whiff. They're definitely elk. 100%. There's tracks all over in here. There's boot tracks, so somebody could be on them. They could be on the tracks. They're older. The human tracks are old. They're frozen. Took me a minute to decipher because it's a big intersection. There's a couple sets of elk tracks in here. They're fresh, pretty fresh. They smell pretty good. I don't know if I can be stealthy enough in here to actually come up on one. Can't see that far. We're gonna give it a go. Best chance I've had so far. There's so many tracks in here, it's so confusing. I just found a huge track. I'm like, it's gotta be a moose, and that's the one I think I might have been following. It's definitely a moose. Kind of on the back side of this butte. We're getting close to it. And looks like the ground really drops away. So, I don't know. Try to find a high point that I can see in glass.
looking over this canyon, the head of this canyon. It looks like a grade A place to be. Just not at, 11 or 12 in the morning. Gotta be elk in here. Cut a lot of tracks today. Greg's starting to get fairly close to the truck, so I'm going to turn around because I'm like 2.5 miles out here. So I got to get headed back that way and meet up. Should have brought some overnight gear. I just slept out here. Honestly, it's gorgeous. It looks like a great spot. Way down there, but I think it'd be worth it. Well, we all met back up at the truck. I don't know. It's 2 o'clock. I think, Greg found some old elk tracks that are maybe a day old. Jeff didn't find any fresh. I found the one set of fresh that I lost in the maze. And nothing else. And how far did you go? Over 5 miles, didn't you?
Like 5-ish.
I went 5 miles. And Jeff was somewhere between Greg and I. So we covered some territory. We did hear 2 gunshots, so maybe they got some. Back at the cabin. We got back to the truck around, 2:30. And then we drove around, spotted, and explored new access again this evening. And still have not actually seen an elk alive. We did see the skull of a 5-point at a camp. So maybe they exist in Wyoming. I don't know. Back to the drawing board for tomorrow. Well, it is, I don't know what day it is. Monday morning. It's Veterans Day. It's a warm day. It's supposed to be like 68 degrees out. It's really muddy up high, so the initial plan was try to stay lower out of the mud. There's these big canyons with junipers that are decent cover. Huge canyon lands. Really neat area. I'd love to explore it. But caught a local down here at the post office in town. Basically said it's a weather event for them to be down here, and pretty much in this entire unit. He said they were killing them last week when it was really cold and there was snow, but there really hasn't been much down here since then. And we discussed some travel routes with them, and it didn't sound real likely that the truck would make it through. So we're kind of at a loss here, glassing around, not 100% sure what we're going to do yet. Alright, so we're on like plan D for the day. Maybe F, I'm not real sure. But we drove up to where the good part of the road ended. I use that term loosely, and it turns into a 2-track, which we did make it over a couple days ago. But it's getting muddy, and we don't really want to risk it. And we decided this is close enough to an area we wanted to get to another time, and there were some spots we could check out. We bailed out, and we immediately found multiple sets of tracks. Greg and Jeff are on those tracks, and I am going a different direction to check out what I thought looked like a good piece of habitat. I'm behind a closed gate on a forest road, walking along on a water line. There's an inline T. There was a water tank back there. I guess I found the reason for the road closure. The stock tank right there's where that line went to. She's pretty narrow right here. Anything wider than a dirt bike isn't going to make it over that. Another set of tracks. And those look pretty fresh to me. I'm going to keep walking the way I'm going, and which is not the way they're going, and just see what I see. But this is still the area Greg was going to cover, so I'm just going to keep going for now. It's about 10 to 11. Just about at the end of my road here. Just heard a gunshot over where hopefully those guys are. Hopefully one of them shot one. We'll have to see. Well, I just got up to where I want to start hunting. Kicked up a covey of Sharpies. At least I assume that's what they are. Well, I found a super highway of elk tracks. Nothing super fresh. But I figured I'd follow it in and see where it went, if it wasn't too hard to follow. See if maybe I could find something bedded. I also just received a notification on my phone, or on my watch, that I got a text from Greg. And it says,
an encoded message, which I'm pretty sure is short for he shot an elk. So, I don't know, he's a couple miles away from me, so it's gonna be a while before I get back to him. I just got into this region, this area, so I'm gonna hunt it out. It's times like this where you really wonder why you find yourself in such a situation. This is gonna suck going to a couple hundred yards, but it's the way I gotta go. Tracks all over in this meadow. It's just, I'm a long ways in here. Haven't seen a human track in a couple hours. I know why. Nobody wants to pack something out of here. It's actually pretty hard to tell what's the freshest tracks. There's so many. And, you know, there's a lot that look not that old. I mean, like last night. I don't know. Amble around and see what I can come up with. I don't think it's worth it just jumping on a track right yet. It's about 5 till 2. Just heading back out. Over there I was actually hunting that I wanted to get into and see to help Greg with his elk. And Jeff has met up with them. So I don't know. I went a little over 2 miles to crow flies from the truck, but over 5 miles on my steps. Still haven't seen an elk, but man, there was a lot of tracks in there. I mean, I would definitely come back here again. Your odds of running into one here are substantially higher than any place I've been, I think. So I'm gonna glass some of this stuff over again and get over to Greg. I think he's 3 ridges over. I can see 2 of them. I think he's the one after that. Just came across Greg. Looks like he made 1 trip already. And found a kill site. Oh, and I see antlers. Got one, huh? 1 tag down. 6 point. Goodness. Aiming high.
The only thing I can...
First one he saw, 6 point.
I think there was another one I've never seen, but there was tracks. And a moose.
That's shocking.
After I shot, I stood there for like 5 minutes marking my location and stuff. I heard something run. I heard something, I'm like, oh, it must be another one. A moose ran right by where they were.
Oh, I better get over here. Oh.
I got 1 quarterback.
I figured you took one trip. You didn't see another one.
I didn't see it, but there was tracks. Well, like I said, I waited. I came over here and I didn't see blood or nothing, and then I seen tracks come down and tracks and no blood. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I was probably down there 75 yards, and I'm like, I had to have missed it.
You were up there quite a ways when you shot, up the hill?
I was probably like 50, 75 yards away from it.
Okay. So it took you a while to find him.
I'm just going to walk back up, because I'm like, this gun's getting bent over the knee. I use my other one. And then when I walked back up, I seen it. It was right here, and I'm like, I couldn't see because all this junk was in the way. Well, it came down over here. I was following tracks over there.
Where did you pick up the track at? Was it right by the truck?
No, I didn't pick up.
Because in this bottom, right on the road, there were tracks that came up. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if you're running into those.
I just seen them get up. They were bedded down. I never.
Down here, the tracks on the road?
Down here in this bottom.
The moose and the other elk went that way.
Yeah, about every...
Down this draw. I pretty much followed them down until I got to the road on this side of the draw.
Okay. About every draw, there's tracks.
And down there in the open, they don't even look fresh. I mean, they look like yesterday's tracks.
Well, so I walked back on my tracks. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have tracked some of the ones I was on.
So the tracks that we seen by the truck, I caught them before I came up this hill, and they went in the open and they got in the mud, and you could see that they must have got into them like last night because it was froze.
Oh, okay.
Like they made a mud mark with their hoof. I'm like, well, I'll just come over to this. Yeah, no, I just was walking and out of the corner of my eye, I seen movement and standing there looking at me, and I just Boom. Not that fast.
Where'd you hit him?
In the vital organs, killing it instantly.
Apparently not, because you couldn't find him. Did he go far?
See them big logs there? They were bed down right above that.
Oh, so he went like 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, but I never seen him. No, I shot him straight on.
Oh, like a head-on shot?
Yeah, he was standing looking at me straight on.
Okay.
And I never seen the other one. I think there's another one because there's another track, but in the moose.
Well, sun's setting. We're making the last load out with a little over a half an elk ahead. Well, it's 10:15 on Tuesday morning, the 12th of November, I believe. Dropped off from the truck, same place as yesterday. I'm headed back in the same place I was yesterday. We dropped off Greg's meat at the butcher, and he is headed to a taxidermist to drop his skull off. We can get to work on that so we can take it home. At the butcher, they said they were not very busy. There's just not many elk coming in. It's just tough hunting right now. And I'm on a herd of tracks. Don't know how fresh, but it's definitely from last night. Just crossed my track from last night, going up to help Greg back out. Just started snowing. They're not smoking hot, but they're definitely in the last 12 hours. Well, it's noon. I tracked those elk through the backside of this draw. In this dark timber, I figured they'd be in there, but they weren't. They came on through. Now I'm in a clear cut. Right below where Greg shot his elk yesterday. I'm not an African PH, so I can't track in this. Basically, I just went in a giant loop over this freaking hill. Back to where I was like 2 hours ago, right here. This tank's like 50 yards below me, maybe 100. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I hiked up some of this, but Jeff's the top of the street edge last I heard from him. I don't want to screw him up. I'm back at the stock tank. Basically just wasted 2 hours following those tracks. I sat down and decided to eat some lunch for about 10 minutes and just think it over. And I decided to forget the last couple hours and just go to where I was yesterday. I found 2 beds. Bulls. I'll see what the tracks tell me for a while. Just saw Jeff on the knob that I went and did a loop around. I didn't follow those tracks. I turned around and went the other way into the timber. I didn't think the tracks would lead to an elk anytime soon because I knew they crossed a big open area. The other way went into heavy timber, and there was like a interstate with tracks I would guess are less than a day old, or not more than 24 hours. I guess they could be a little right. Followed that for a long while on this side. I didn't want to go down, but they kept taking me down. Got into this little opening, and I glassed this elk, bedded. I spent 20 minutes trying to get an angle on it, where I could get a shot. Man, it was a branch antler bull. And I kept moving a little bit at a time. I'm like, it's gotta be sleeping, it's not moving. Well, yeah, it wasn't an elk at all. It was an uprooted tree. It was light tan rocks with dark brown dirt and branches that literally looked like brow tines from the right angle. I get to another angle, look different. I go back. After a while, I'm like, wait a second, this is not matching up. I was trying to get a shot. It was ridiculous. It was only like 80 yards in the timber, but followed the path on down a little further. Took me down in this dang canyon, and now I'm trying to climb out of it. So I was down there, and I came up up from over there. And now I'm going up there. Yeah, I'm just trying to avoid this heavy downfall. It's bad in here. It's all Douglas fir, old growth. Some of it had been logged out. I was kind of in an old logging unit. What hasn't? There's just a ton of downfall. So, anyway, I'm going to head kind of this way to the top. And there's kind of some pinched out area in there that I'm going to hit. Hopefully it's bedding. And then I'm going to dive back off and head back to the truck. It's 2:30. I just got back up on top and got service. And it sounds like Jeff headed to the truck an hour ago or more. And I know he was closer because I saw him an hour ago. I'm pretty sure I know how the first person came up with a maze as some sort of activity. I can't get out of here. It's like a train wreck. It's unbelievable. That's all. 3:25 on day 7 of Wyoming elk hunting. I just kicked up the first animal in 7 days. 3 muley does. So, haven't seen elk yet. Living 7 days of hunting. I don't know, I think 6 miles into my day. It's probably a mile and a half back to the truck. I'm gonna hunt my way back and see what I don't see, which is an elk. I can tell you that right now. So, just exciting times. A lot of upbeat thoughts right now. Well, it's 10 after 4. As you can see, it has become a winter wonderland. And as you can also see, I'm back at the stock tank for the 3rd time today. Heading back to the truck. I'm just beat. I'm trying to turn my pulse oxygen monitor on my Garmin watch, but it's giving me issues. I didn't want to stand here. Keep waiting. I stand there a few minutes already. Tried it 3 times. I just want to get back in the truck. Just not feeling that great. I mean, just between having a headache and going uphill sucks. And it seems like going uphill gives me a headache today. One thing I will say is we should have tracking snow tomorrow, especially if this keeps up, which is great news. All right, Wednesday morning. Snowed last night, fresh snow, covered all the tracks. Hit the reset button. Just hiking down. Jeff's up here in front of me a little ways. He's gonna go sit in the meadow, I think. I'm gonna continue on, see what I come across. Pretty cold out today, might be a bit underdressed, but I'll probably be moving all day, so you'll have that. Beautiful morning. Hopefully we get lucky. Just a little recap on the last hour or so of my life. So about 20 yards in front of where I am right now, I ran an elk track. And it went up. And so I followed it. And then it turned into multiple sets of elk tracks. And once I finally got up to the top of the ridge, I started creeping. Went about 50, 60 yards, ran into Jeff's tracks on the elk tracks. So hopefully Jeff will get one, or at least have an encounter. Basically I did Groundhog Day yesterday, just same thing. So last night I finally got my blood oxygen reader working, and back at the cabin, which is, I don't know, maybe 4,000 feet elevation. I was right at 90. I think 92, 93. Today's the first time I looked at it. I feel fine today, other than I'm just run down. I'm tired going uphill, but I'm fine. But 87% from the reading I did last night. That's bad, but I don't know. I got 2.5 days left, so start getting headaches, I'll start working my way back to the truck. What do you do? Lowlanders. I'm from like 800 feet elevations. 9,000's taking a toll on me. I think I'm like 86 or 88 right now. Hell, I just found 4 elk beds. I think that's the group I was just tracking. I feel like I'm going the wrong way. But I don't want to mess up Jeff's hunt. He's got an opportunity. He's finally on something. It's just been tough sledding all week. That's just a massive tree. The diameter of that trunk's over 3 feet. That's a huge tree. You don't find old growth dug fir like that very often. I mean, especially, within walking distance of the truck. I'm actually not far from the edge of a historic timber unit, so they didn't get this one. It is a magnificent specimen. It's a huge tree, but so many of the other ones in here have died, blown over. A freaking mess. But that tree's pretty cool. I like that tree. It's awesome. Well, it's 10 till 12. I'm down here at the lowest point I want to go. I don't want to go any lower. Probably shouldn't be this far. I've been debating for the last 5 minutes to keep following tracks or not. And against my better judgment, I kind of did. Go down a little further here in this meadow. And the tracks are really hard to read. There's so many, they're going everywhere. Obviously, they're out here milling around all night. And I'm trying to find a place where they go into this canyon. I'm hiking back out of here. I decided to continually talk myself into continuing down this canyon after these tracks. Just guessing their goes, just because there's so many. I told myself I was going to stop up here at this bench, and I didn't. I kept going down, crossed the drainage, kept going. Literally kept stopping, just like, this is a bad idea. This is the kind of place that people used to tell me you'd have to take your salt shaker in here to get your elk out, because you're going to eat it there. I've got over 5 miles in so far today. I think I'm just going to hunt it back out towards the road system, so I get something. If I get something, it'd be closer. Walking out of this park, this meadow, headed back towards the truck. I was going to hunt my way back. And there's 2 to 3 sets of tracks, or maybe even 4. They're going the way I'm going, so I'm going to follow them for now. Well, I followed those tracks for, I don't know, 500-600 yards in the timber. They bedded. Where one stood, there was blood. I don't know what that was about. There's no blood when I was tracking. There was no blood in any of the beds. And then I went like another 30 yards, and there was more beds. There was like 3 or 4 more beds. There were maybe more. So yeah, it's turning to like 5 or 6 elk. I think they're probably all moles. They're going over stuff that's 4 feet high. They're jumping over logs. It's just getting too tough to follow them. So I've decided to, again, hunt my way back to the truck. So I'm headed back uphill and just trying to find a way through the maze. It's just a mess in here. I think I jumped one, but I never heard it or saw it. Found a bed that looked pretty fresh. And then the tracks leading out of there, they're big steps, big gates, and they're jumping over stuff. So I probably was close, but never saw it. It is what it is. This bed was huge, by the way, so probably like a monster bowl. But I'm not going to chase it now. I mean, I can't be quiet through this stuff. He's jumping over 3 foot or 2 foot diameter logs that are a foot in the air. I can't even be quiet going over them, so. I finally made the ridge. Decided to sit down and just glass all this open country. This timber unit. I can see my tracks where I went up earlier today. And all this blowdown. They must have had a heck of a wind event, because that's a massive blowdown. We're going to continue on down and get to the truck. My feet hurt. 6.6 miles. Alright, it is Thursday morning, November 14th. It's about 26 degrees out, I think, and breezy. Kind of chilly. Just leaving the truck. Gonna head into some dark timber, see what I can come up with. Been talking it over. The weather, we're supposed to get some weather tomorrow night, Friday night, which is, we're gonna leave Saturday morning. We're talking about trying to leave tomorrow, Friday, so this will be our last day of hunting. If we can get Greg's meat and his skull back today. If not, then hopefully we'll get it tomorrow and leave tomorrow. So this is the last hurrah either way around. Yesterday, Greg spent half a day talking to some other hunters, some older guys that were just sitting meadows. The one guy was like 78, was a father-son. He was just sitting meadows all the time. And he said he's seen some bulls, but he has a cow tag. And he's been here for 2 weeks. And his son, which was probably my age or maybe a little older, was riding around on a side-by-side. We talked to him. Also has a cow tag. He was up higher at another point, overlooking some meadows yesterday morning. He saw 100 head, but they were in the next unit. And they won't cross unless they get some weather. I guess they come down through this unit, but they don't just come here. They've been here for 2 weeks, and they haven't been able to tag a cow. Jeff tracked those 3 or 4, or however many they were, to the tracks yesterday, and he followed them out of the unit. They went into that other unit where all the elk are. We also heard down by one of these mega canyons on private, there's like a herd of 1,500. Everybody says this is nothing in this unit right now. I mean, there's just nothing here. We could have tagged out on just about any other species. Pronghorn, whitetails, mule deer, moose. I mean, every one of us could have shot one of those. I mean, easily. We all could have shot a moose on this trip. We had that opportunity. Elk, only one has been seen. It is day 9 of hunting. So yesterday when I got back to the truck, Greg asked me, so what's the report? And I said, breathing very heavily, because I just came up out of there. I'm not going back in there. He's like, the look on your face, that's what I need a camera. Just a funny memory. I wish I had it on camera. Just found a track. A pair of tracks. At least 2. I'm gonna hop on them. Take me back from the way I came, basically. Just lower. Maybe we'll bump into them. I'm starting to question if it's elk at all, because I found this track. And it's huge. So it might be a bear moose, cow and a calf. Yeah, I'm like 99.9% sure. It's a cow and calf moose. These tracks are huge. I was following the calf track. I saw the other tracks, but I didn't look at them. Now that I see them, they're ginormous. So, chalk up another moose set. If you're looking to shoot a moose, you're gonna have good odds in this unit. Picked up a new track. Hopefully from today. We're gonna follow it and see where it leads. I did not think this is how my Wyoming hunt would go that I burned 9 points on. These tracks took me to the edge of the unit. They cross over into the next unit where all the elk seem to be. They brought me probably about half or a quarter mile from the truck. It's just right over there. It's midday, and I really don't want to dive back into a hole. And that's really the only option I have if I'm going to keep going. So I'm just going to sit here for a few minutes and think about life choices. And elk cutting sucks. I don't know if I want to do it anymore. It seems to be a common theme. Pretty much said the same thing last year. Alright, well, I decided I can't get anywhere in an hour. And we want to head out of here in about 9 days. Haven't seen an elk. But I'm going to go get some Mexican leftover from a couple nights ago. That is in the back of the truck. It sounds delicious. I went about 150 yards. I found 2 beds. And I thought maybe I'd jump some elk when I came through that opening, that meadow. And tracked them for a little bit. And I wasn't positive. I'm like, yeah, this one looks pretty big. But now I'm positive. Moose. So, more moose. There is a plethora of moose in the Bighorns.
Well, we're back at the cabin. It is 8 o'clock at night. Jeff came back to the truck about a half hour after I did. At the time, we were having a chat with the game warden. He said it was pretty brutal in this unit, and not just the November season, but also the October season. He said it was pretty good for archery. They want to know if we're staying at the bitter end, and I said yes. Today is the bitter end. It is Thursday. I think the season goes till Wednesday. It's to a point where we've been beating the mountains pretty hard the mountains have beaten us pretty hard for the last 9 days. I put in 49 miles in the last 7 days on foot. I love hunting. You know, I really wanted some elk meat. I've wanted some elk meat for a couple of years now. The last time I shot an elk was in 2020. I lost most of that meat in a freezer failure, along with a lot of other meat. Another year with no elk, and it's just sad. I don't know, but anyway, we're headed home.